Mhm.
He couldn't afford to fix it, so he walked to work 3 hours each direction from Batavia to
Got a
Montgomery.
network, dude.
Some radio guy saw him, picked him up, found out the story, put it on, recruiting money online. He got $4,000 so he can fix the truck and it's over.
That's awesome. It's fantastic.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
I said it today.
Those GoFundMe pages can really
That was
generate.
it.
Yeah.
Here's, they're dying for.
All right, we're good to go. So we'll call this meeting to order at 7:02. Would everyone please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, could I have a roll call, please?
Mayor Pileski.
Here.
Trustee Berkshire.
Here.
Trustee Delaware is absent. Trustee Domke.
I'm here.
Trustee Lanisa. Trustee Prokowski.
Here.
Trustee Trejo.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Thank you so much. Do I have a motion to accept the prepared agenda?
So moved. Second.
Thank you so much. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Any abstentions? Seeing none, that motion passes. We now have Village Board public comment. Is there anyone from the public that wishes to address the board at this time? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, do we receive any in advance?
We have one that was sent through email. It's from Nancy Buckner. The topic here is village street parking. She states, I would like to suggest that on-street parking be allowed on one side only. People tend to park across from another vehicle and there is not enough room for cars traveling in opposite directions to fit safely on the road together while passing one another when there is a parked car or two parked on the road. There is also an increase in number of work trucks during the day and some company trucks being brought home that are parking too close to a corner, obscuring visibility and parking on the curves of the road, causing blind spots to pass. Due to the size of today's vehicles, mostly SUVs, and the extended trailer mirrors on some SUVs and trucks not being folded in this manner, causing a rise in the number of vehicles getting their mirrors and vehicles damaged. I would truly appreciate this issue to be considered at the next village board meeting. Secondly, I'd like to mention, but not sure any DuPage County village can do anything about requiring bicyclists to wear reflective clothing and front light and flashing rear light when riding after dark. But might it be worth a mention in the next Roselle newsletter? Thank you.
Thank you so much. Chief Aaron, do you have any comments on some of those issues raised by the resident?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. We wound up looking through some of the data. We don't see the damaged mirrors, nor do we see the traffic or parking issues that in that area. The only thing we find is we have one overnight parking ticket that's in that area, and then a handful, probably a couple of handfuls of overnight parking requests. As far as the lights go on bicycles, the law states now front and rear lights at dark, but that doesn't require reflective clothing. So the reflective of the lights, reflectors, flashing light or headlights is required after dark on any bicycle.
Great, thank you so much. We'll move to officials and staff reports. I have no report other than I would like for the concurrence of the board to pass an ordinance to give Crazy Crab a Class T license. So do I have a motion?
I'll second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, since this is an ordinance, we'll do a roll call vote.
Trustee Trejo.
Aye.
Trustee Domke.
Aye.
Trustee Prokowski.
Aye.
Trustee Berkshire.
Yes.
Trustee Lanisa. Aye.
And that motion carries. We'll go to village trustees. Any reports? Yes, trustee Trejo.
Just real quick, as the fire department liaison, Flags for Roselle sent a letter out or put letters on people's doors that help either put flags up or subscribe. And they said, thank you to the fire department for always helping out with the Flags for Roselle program. So on behalf of them, thank you.
Great. Any other village trustee reports? All right, we'll move to village clerk.
No report tonight.
All right, village attorney.
Mr. Mayor, agenda item 8C on the terms and conditions of the Dryden portion of the contract, strike paragraph 11, please. They've agreed.
Great, thank you so much. Village administrator. All right, we'll move to unfinished business. Our first is the consent agenda. All items on the consent agenda are considered to be routine, procedural, informational, self-explanatory, or non-controversial in nature and enacted in one motion. There will be no discussion on these items. Item 8A is presentation approval of village board meeting minutes from June 28th, 2021. Approval and release of the executive session minutes of January 10th, January 24th, April 11th, May 23rd, and October 24th, 2011. December 10th of 2018, January 14th, February 25th, September 23rd, and November 25th of 2019. They were previously approved but not released. And these have all been reviewed and recommended for release by the administrator and the attorney. And then 8C, as amended, recommended amended by the village attorney, adopt a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute a contract between the village of Roselle for the purchase and installation of 3 effluent pumps at the Bottleman wastewater treatment plant in the amount of $72,000.50. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Oh, sorry, $72,050, just to clarify. Second.
Second.
Thank you, trustee. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Any abstentions? That motion carries. We'll move to community development. Trustee Berkshire.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to make a motion to adopt a resolution changing the address of Lot 1 of the Old Sison subdivision.
Second.
Any discussion or report on this item? Seeing none, we'll move to a vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Any abstentions? Seeing none, that passes. Anything else? Trustee
Oh,
Berkshire.
I'm sorry, Mayor, nothing else.
All right, perfect. We'll move on to administration. Trustee Kirkowski.
Yes, I'd like to move adoption of a resolution authorizing the mayor to sign and directing the village clerk to attest to a purchase and sale agreement for real estate dedication of a permanent easement and addendum between the village of Roselle and JEA North Point LLC.
Second.
Any discussion or report? Seeing none, we'll move to a vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Any abstentions? That motion passes. Anything else tonight?
I have nothing else to report, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you so much. Fire, under trustee Trejo, we have nothing. Under police, trustee Delapenna, we have nothing. Under public works, a rarity, we have nothing for trustee Domke.
Sad.
And then we'll go to finance, trustee Lanisa.
Yes, I'd like to approve, make a motion to approve the accounts payable list for July 12th, 2021, in the amount of $917,148.78.
Second.
Any discussion on the bills? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Any abstentions? Seeing none, that motion passes.
I'd also like to make a motion to adopt a resolution authorizing revisions to the Village of Roselle financial policies.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Any report or discussion on it? Tom, do you want to just give a brief summary for everyone online watching perhaps? It's good news when it comes to financial policy, I think so.
Oh, thank you. This was brought up when we were discussing some other items with the Finance Planning Committee, so I appreciate their input on this. We propose to increase the general fund balance policy to 45% from 35%. We codified the calculation, so that would be the prior year's ending fund balance with the current year the current year final budget for the general fund. Just because there's many ways to calculate it, we just wanted to make sure that there was a hard definition for what fund balance percentage is. And then finally, approve the uses for that, anything above the 45% threshold. So that would be increase the contribution to the police and fire pensions, any capital, excess capital needs in the general capital projects fund, and using it to balance the next year's budget. So for example, if we were short in 2022 based on our revenues and we had extra expenditures, we do have extra fund balance to be used to do that if the board so chooses. And then the last item was just a cleanup of the water sewer, just making sure that it says at a minimum of 25%.
Great. Thank you so much. And I would just like to echo your appreciation to the Financial Planning Committee for their efforts on this. I know that was a couple of sessions and, I think we have a really great final result as a result of that. So thank you.
We appreciate their help.
All right. If there aren't any questions or comments from the board, we'll move to a vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Yes.
Aye. All those opposed, nay. Any abstentions? Seeing none, that passes. Anything else tonight under finance?
No, that's all.
All right, thank you so much. We'll move to new business now. We'll now allow a second time for public comment to be made at this point in time. So if anyone would like to make a comment? And if you wouldn't mind, just state your name and your current address.
Yes, Michael Haggerty. Current address is 4940 West Hutchinson, Chicago, Illinois.
Perfect. And you've got 3 minutes, so you can begin whenever you'd like to.
Yes, I'd just like to address, I'm here on regarding 23 W671. I know we had the public hearing. There were some objections. I'm just curious of what those were, and I just want to hand some things out to you and won't answer any questions.
Great, thank you so much. We'll hold and knowing that you'll be in the audience, if there are any questions that come up during your time, since we have you in the audience, we'll make sure we have you there to address them. So thank you. Any other members of the public that wish to make a comment at this time? Seeing none, we'll move to our first item, item 17, 23 West 671 Walnut discussion. So Karen.
Hi, everyone. So at the recent Plan Commission meeting last week, we had a public hearing for 23 West 671, who Michael Haggerty is here representing. The property is currently unincorporated, so they've requested a few things in order to annex into the village. The first is a zoning map amendment to R2 upon annexation. And then he's also requesting a plat of subdivision, so a lot split. The lot split would require 2 variations, one to permit lot sizes of 11,125 square feet in lieu of the 12,000 square feet required in R2. And then the second would be for a nonconformity that would be created by subdividing the lot for the existing single-family residence on the property. So a front yard setback of 25.99 feet in lieu of the 30 feet required. So during the public hearing, we had a split vote basically on the various findings of fact. They made a motion or they recommended approval of the zoning map amendment to R2, but they voted to deny the lot area variation, the front yard setback variation, and the plat of subdivision. So before we move forward and scheduling a public hearing for annexation and incurring additional costs for both the village and the petitioner, I wanted to get feedback and direction from the board as to how to proceed.
Any questions or comments on the board? Trustee Berkshire.
Yes, sorry, Karen, I didn't get the chance to look at the YouTube, so you can let me understand what were some of the objections as well as whether there were any public comments regarding this.
So some of the concerns expressed by some of the planning commissioners was that the 11,125 square foot lots are too small and not in the character of the neighborhood. They are smaller than a lot of the lots in sort of the area, especially to the south, but there are multiple lots that are under the 12,000 square feet minimum and are zoned R2. And then there was public comment, the neighbor sort of catty cornered them, expressed concerns about drainage issues and flooding in the area. I had Kristen, Public Works, look into it a little bit, and she's not aware of any sort of current drainage concerns. The lot south of this lot is a extension area for the subdivision, so we're not sure if maybe they were thinking that property was part of the detention area, but that was the main concern.
When you said that there were many houses in that area under the 12,000, what's the area encompass? Block over, 3 doors down,
Yeah, a couple
mile
blocks,
away?
mostly to the south. So Heritage Drive. A lot of those lots are under the 12,000 square feet, including some on Rosedale as well.
And so if I heard correctly, then water retention would not be a concern because of the fact that we have an area behind it. Is this also then going to, what about, is it sewer or is it a drainage ditch? And what do we have to worry about some of that now?
So
Now you don't have that flat surface to absorb it, so.
right, so any new house that could be built on the undeveloped lot would have to follow the DuPage County Stormwater Ordinance. So the lot would have to be graded to the satisfaction of the village engineer. And then as it's undeveloped, they would likely have to do BMPs, so best management practices for stormwater detention.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Trustee Donkey?
Yeah, I was at that meeting and the other thing was the setback on the proposed new house wouldn't be 35 feet in or something like that. That was another issue, wasn't it, brought up by the P and Z board?
Yeah, so the existing house, the subdivision of the lot actually makes what is currently the corner side yard, the front yard. And in the county, they allow smaller corner side yards than front yards, whereas in the village, we require the same distance for both. So subdividing the lot creates that nonconformity of having the house 25.99 feet setback from the property line instead of 30.
Yes, Bruce.
But that's the existing
Yes.
house. With the new house or whatever they're gonna plan, would that have to be in line with the other one, or could they pump that back to be the
It would need to meet setbacks for the village unless they requested a variation.
And there's no proposal for the other lot at this point in time, from my knowledge, correct?
So it's just simply the house where it is, and because we would divide it, it's built in conformance now, but should we, okay, thank you.
Lee, did you have a comment or question?
Yeah, I mean, so I looked at the, I watched a little bit of the P and Z and then I looked at the aerial maps and I kind of see a little bit what they were saying. But then to be honest with you, I drove over there today before the meeting and I think splitting the lots is totally fine. I think it looks within the character of that neighborhood. I don't think there's any problem if there's a second house there, to be honest with you.
Cheryl, any thoughts or comments?
Oh, I live in, not far from that area and I would have no problem with that.
I have no issue.
Any questions for the petitioner since he is here? So I'm gonna, based on that, hearing, I guess, Bruce and Wayne, do you have any objections to what you're?
Fine with it.
Okay,
I don't have any objections. I would be concerned what type of house they would put on that small property. What I mean by small in comparison, so
So I put in, I did,
maximize that value of
Yeah.
getting that property. Sometimes they put maximum size houses. That would be my concern, but that's not for now, that's for later. So that's just something we gotta take note of.
yeah, I did a rough calculation based on the setbacks and the zoning districts of sort of the area where you could build a house. And even if they built a house filling that entire area, which you probably wouldn't, it would still be under the 40% maximum lot coverage. So
I have no issues then.
all right. So I think that gives you your direction. So for the petitioner, it sounds like the board is willing to approve your split. So this would be done after we can do appropriate public notice. So Karen can give you that additional information. So if you have any other questions for us this time. All right, thank you so much. And then Karen, we're gonna keep you up here because we've got the
Oh, sure, back.
the 556 Lincoln annexation.
I'm sorry, David. I'm
Yeah.
trying to be paperless. Okay. Sorry, David.
You're fine.
Okay.
So at the next village board meeting, we have an annexation scheduled, the public hearing. And in discussions with the property owner and Public Works about installing the sidewalk, we discovered a grade difference issue between the neighbor to the south, 550 Lincoln, and the subject property, 556. In the packet, shows a Google Street View. It looks like there's about a 2 to 3 foot grade change between the driveway of the nearest incorporated property to this property, 556 Lincoln. So Public Works has kind of analyzed the situation, and about half of the existing sidewalk would need to be removed and then regraded and then reinstalled in order for a sidewalk at 556 Lincoln to be installed. So in the staff report, I provided a couple options. The first is that we make 556 Lincoln pay for everything. Second option is we pay for the change in 550 Lincoln, and the homeowner can either submit a fee in lieu and we complete the work at a later date, or they can just install the sidewalks themselves. And then the last option would just be for them to pay the fee in lieu, and we don't do anything to the neighbor's sidewalk, and we use that money to either put a sidewalk there in the future potentially, or elsewhere in the village where we have gaps. So I was just looking for direction, as I know sidewalks and annexations are very important to us all.
And before I let Bruce talk, did we get any, no, just for clarification, has the resident had, or the prospective resident have any opinion of which they would prefer that we should be aware of?
No, she was given quotes by Matt Rasmussen, so she kind of knows what she's up against and she's fine with the situation. She just, I'm looking for direction as to how to structure the annexation agreement.
Perfect. So I'll let you have the floor, Bruce.
I'm okay with either option 2 or 3. Karen and I have already spoken about this. I'm not in agreement with option 4. We've had way too many issues and challenges with regards to sidewalks, and I don't need to then have that as a comeback. So I think it's something we should work out with Public Works to figure out the when, and we should either do option 2 or 3.
Yes, Wayne.
I like option 2 because in some way Roselle is responsible for the difference in grading. We built a sidewalk without anticipating how it would affect the next lot. So that's how I feel.
Did we build that other sidewalk?
I believe so, but I would have to verify.
Lee,
Or it was part of it, it was required as part of an annexation and we approved it.
got it.
I was just gonna say, I agree with either 2 or 3. I think the preference would probably for me would be 2, but 3 would be all right as well. I mean, we had what, a year of talking about this, getting an annexation agreement, like finalized, to have
At
people
least.
put sidewalks in. The last thing I'm gonna do is have someone write a check and then say, hey, we're gonna put a sidewalk in somewhere else. So I'm definitely not on board with 4, for sure.
I agree with what Lee just said. I would not go with number 4 at all, but I prefer number 2 as well.
Tom,
Number 2.
number 2. Okay.
It's like going to McDonald's or Burger King.
Right.
Yeah, supersized sidewalk with that.
All right. So it seems like based on that, everyone's consensus here is to go with option number 2 and have them submit the fee, and we'll pay for the 51 feet for 550, and we'll complete the work in the future. So any additional direction you need from us at this time, or?
Mayor, may I add
Yeah.
that I would like to have Public Works to return and explain what future means. So I'd like to understand what that is before we would come bring this back to the vote.
And I think one thing that'd be interesting just to add to that is if we find that it's engineeringly infeasible or cost prohibitive to do it, I think that would be something that we should probably also address, because I think understanding that this is a topographical nightmare, that might be something that we need to discuss some solution to. So. Perfect. Well, we'll see you guys back later then. Thank you so much, Karen. And then we'll switch to Public Works, Karen, to discuss the DuPage County River Salt Creek Work Group Special Conditions Work Plan Amendment.
It's a tongue twister, isn't it? All right, well, good evening, everybody. We're here to talk about the DuPage River Salt Creek Work Group, our special conditions permit that we currently hold with them. The village owns and operates 2 wastewater treatment facilities here within the village. For those 2 wastewater treatment facilities, the Illinois Environmental Protection Agency issues the village a permit, which requires us to address and regulate to their standards, everything that discharges out of the wastewater treatment plants. Many years ago, the EPA began to look at developing permit requirements as it relates to these permits that would address water quality issues within the streams that would require significant expenditures by the village in order to update our plants to meet these new limits. In 2005, the DuPage River, I'm going to call it DRSCW, make it a little easier, was formed in response to these pending regulations. There was some concern by municipal agencies and environmental groups about the effectiveness of these regulations in dealing with the levels of phosphorus and other pollutants that are discharged into the DuPage River and other watersheds within DuPage County. This work group felt that there was a more effective way to address these concerns by actually completing projects in the actual waterways as opposed to higher standards at the wastewater treatment plants. So in June of 2015, the village entered into an agreement with this work group to participate in this special work plan that they had. This plan identified multiple projects that all the varying agencies that participated in this work group would contribute funds to construct actual projects in these waterways. These improvements are funded by all the local municipalities, and they're implemented. The studies, the design and construction of these projects are actually implemented through the DuPage River Salt Creek Work Group. By us participating in this program, we've been able to push off some very costly improvements at our wastewater treatment facilities, while this work group continues to advocate on behalf of the municipalities to actually implement or identify the actual phosphorus limits that will be required by our municipality and getting them fine-tuned so we're not in this never-ending target that we're trying to reach. So currently our permit is set to expire in 2022, which would mean we'd have to begin implementing the first phase of the phosphorus limits reductions by 2025. So we're actually been approached by this work group to extend our permit for an additional 3 years, which would then push our improvements all the way to 2030 and 2035, buying us a lot of time to identify what that actual phosphorus limit is and then implement those projects moving forward. So it's staff recommendation to approve the amendment and extend our contract with them for another 3 years.
Any questions?
I might as well just make a comment because I did talk to Karen today. You know, I mean, this is 3 more years of being involved with a group that's advocating in our behalf. Going it alone would be almost suicidal in a way. This, and if we don't do this, we can't get back on the wagon. So I personally think, you know, 3 more years and it's going to be a lot of dollars down the road with this phosphorus requirements. And every town has that problem, and we're fortunate enough to be represented by others. So I would vote to do 3 more years.
Can I ask how a 3-year extension on the group gets you 10 years on the implementation?
Correct. So it's to 2030 and 2035 is our limit. So they've been negotiating with the EPA. That's the benefit of being in this group. It's not Roselle advocating just for Roselle. It's this work group advocating on all the communities within DuPage County that are part of this work group. So they've had a really great partnership between DRSCW and the EPA to say, look, we can do these improvements that'll have a greater benefit in the streams. And then let's discuss and negotiate what our phosphorus limits are as opposed to them just coming to us and dictating exactly what that is. So it's been a great partnership for all the communities in the area. And with that partnership and the ability to do those projects, they've agreed to push out our terms on our implementation.
Thank you.
Yeah, Wayne.
We were reminiscing that it was Bruce and Lee came on the board at that time and myself. So the 3 of us realized at that time that we were up against it when we joined this group. So here we are again.
Any other comments or questions from the group? Is there a consensus to up our membership for 3 years from the group?
Absolutely.
Agree.
All right, there's your direction. So
Thank you.
we have nothing else under new business tonight. Is there any other business from the board for discussion? Seeing none, we don't have any executive session tonight. So is there a motion to adjourn? Do we have a second?
Second.
Yes.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. All those opposed, nay. Any abstentions? We're adjourned.